Hey everyone, Danny Danzy here. I wanted to take a little time to talk to you about what can make your playing sound like the pros. And what I mean by that is it's all in your finger tone and how you execute on the instrument. It's very important. I haven't met many rock stars in my time, but the biggest one I ever met was Clapton. And the cool thing about that was I had a chance to talk to him at a decent length, And, we were talking about, playing, and one of the questions I had asked him was, "Hey, you locked yourself in your room for all them years. Why didn't you come out, playing like Segovia or shredding like, the shredders of the '80s, And I'll never forget this. This was like an epiphany for me. He had a cigarette in one hand, and I don't even think he was drinking alcohol anymore at this point. I think it was sometime like in the '90s, and he says, and he looks at me and he says, "Young Danzy, when played correctly, one note can crush 1,000." And I was just like, whoa, it was, but what did that mean? And I actually had to ask him, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, when you go home, your homework is play one note on your guitar. What does that one note sound like? I want you to listen for the quality of that note, And it got me to really thinking and listening like, hey, and if one note doesn't sound good, 1,000 notes per second isn't going to sound good either, So that was one of the things that I went home and worked on, the quality of the notes that you play, For example, a lot of guys when they play, I hear that they press the string down too hard, or they have this nervous vibrato that's just, I'm sorry, anybody that is my friend that plays that way, that's annoying to me. I hate that sound. It just, I don't know. That's just me. And again, forgive me. You play however you want. But, a lot of guys, and they'll overcompensate and go, and it's like, that's what makes a beginner sound like a beginner. So to help with that, see how good you can make one note sound without adding anything. All right. And what I'm about to play here, is I'm going to show you, what I would sound like as a beginner. Take the effects. I want to have distortion on there because let's face it, we all like to play with some drive, right? So, but no bells and whistles. And I just want to show you when you play the notes all straight, all right, that's your starting point. Now you're listening for quality. Then you can add yourself, your emotion, vibrato, whatever you decide into it. And I'll show you before and after. So, for example, there's this little motif I've been playing. I don't know what it is, but I just started playing it to do this video. So basically, I'm going. Right? I sound like a beginner pretty much because there's no conviction, there's no emotion, there's no vibrato. So you can take something simple like that, and just by adding a little vibrato, it changes everything. But the key is you want to try to use your vibrato in time with what you're playing. And it's difficult to do that, where some guys will go, sounds bad. You want to have a nice, pleasant to listen to kind of tone when you do that. See how I went back one, and I bent a whole step there. Or you can go. See, now it's taking form. Or you can. There's all kinds of things you can do, but you see how we're adding personality to that dumb little lick. Just by adding a little vibrato and a little bit of something in there, little effects, the way you execute, a pinch harmonic here and there, a little trill like I was doing. Right there, we've added personality to something that was nothing. We started with. But do you hear how precise and clean my notes are? There's no overbending and overcompensation of my pressure. Watch your pressure. Make sure that you're executing your notes right. Watch that nervous vibrato. It makes you sound out of tune and like you can't wait to get to the next note. Nice and smooth. See, that's pretty cool, right? So we just added a nice little flair to something that was basic. So in my opinion, that's what Eric was talking about. If you can make the notes that you play have quality, and you're singing them from your heart or whatever, even if I tapped all that thing, that whole motif, it's still cool. The pinch horns, the trills, there's other things you can add to it, but get the notes right first. Experiment with your bending. See, I was doing some of the half step, I went back to it, or again. So you can do it there too. And when you do your bends, test yourself. Make sure if you're supposed to do a whole step bend, do that whole step bend and make sure you're hitting that note. You'll get a feel for it. It takes time. It's really hard to do. That's probably one of the hardest things to do playing guitar, is to bend to the right note, because you're using your ear to kind of, and listen, sometimes we're not spot on, myself included. You might fall a little short, you might overbend a little. Sometimes you have a lot of energy going on and you're getting into it. And listen, it happens, but over time, for many years of playing, you just know where that's going to come in. You know how hard to bend it and where your spots are. When you can do like a half step bend and go up. Like I don't know if I can do it now, but there was an ending to that little motif where it was like see how I went? And I went backwards there. You don't have to do that. You could have went. Sounds the same, but not, right? So these are the things that I worked on and listened for. And that was my major epiphany there. And I've had other epiphanies that I shared with you this week, I believe, right? So there's another one. In the next video, I'm actually going to play a song off the Tribulations album called Where Do We Go? And before I do that, I'm going to set you up for it and show you. I'm actually using one of the tones from the album. And what I did was I took the all the rhythm guitar tracks out except for the beginning. I left that in there because I didn't want to have a metronome clicking to play. I hate that sound when you're trying to do something. So I just left those 4 bars in, and But what I did was I added what's called a Haas effect. So it sounds like 2 guitars playing at once. So I'll go, and you'll hear this. If you have your headphones on or you have stereo rig you're listening to, watch or listen to the guitar open up here. Pretty cool, huh? So that's how you can, you get a sound like that, you can play live, and it actually sounds like, 2 guitars in one pass. And if you're wondering what that is, one side is delayed a little more than the other, so it's taking a couple milliseconds longer to hit your ears, However, Fractal has it down to where it sounds like it hits at the same time. You can do that trick with a delay, with 2 different delay times, a very short one and 22 milliseconds to the right. But the only problem with that is, because your ear is hearing one side, later, that side sounds like it's louder or lower. Actually, the sound that hits your ears first, if you have a delay on the left, that one is going to hit you first and seem louder where the other one isn't. Where Fractal, when I hit this is called the enhancement block in the Fractal audio. It sounds like it's hitting at exactly the same time. No side sounds louder than the other. So that's the next video. I'm going to go play the rhythm, and maybe I'll do the lead if you guys are good. So anyway, see what you do with your note quality. Go for note quality. Don't worry about licks and tricks. I mean, that comes later. Just remember, garbage in, garbage out. If you can't play one note right, what good's 1,000? Tell a story. That's where it's at. All the scales and stuff that we learn help us illustrate, right? But at the end of the day, you got to have that one note. Get your vibrato together. Time it if you have to, you know. I've used metronome at times, but the problem with that is then you can become too mechanical. You don't want to rely on that. Everything in playing is your heart, is your soul. And that really can't be taught, you know. I can, you know, you guys playing that little thing that I was playing. There's probably 100 different variations of that where people can show you all different ways that they play it, you know. That's them putting their heart, their soul, their emotion into it. You know, that's what you have to do. That's what becoming yourself is all about, you know. And that's where your finger tone, when you play in different amps, like I spoke about in the other video, you'll sound like yourself because of the way you play. Everybody has their tone fingerprint, their vibrato, their attack, the way they execute the strings. And that's where you need to be. That's what makes a pro player sound like a pro player. And of course, you have to play the right notes. And it helps when you have a decent tone, you know. But a lot of it comes from here. So keep that in mind and work on the quality of your notes. All right, I hope this helps. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.